Hello everyone, welcome back to Paint Your Own Lenormand deck in order to learn the Lenormand meanings. We're going to start with clubs, so I thought I would share my Everything Lenormand journal with you so we can have a general feel for clubs in Lenormand while we paint our 9 club cards. My Everything Lenormand journal is a work in progress, and I put all my research and everything that's related to Lenormand in there, and I try to make it pleasing to my eye. So here's my club section. On the right, I have made 4 lists in which I have listed the clubs in different orders. In this list, I've got the suit list from the cross to the ring. This next list, I've got the card number list from the clouds to the cross. And in these 2 lists, I have the equivalent between the suit and the card number list. Why did I make these lists? Well, I was hoping to find some sort of logic, a bit like in tarot. You know how there's a numerological logic that keys you into the meanings. So sometimes I sit with my suit lists trying to find some sort of logic, but I haven't found anything so far. So let's look at the pocket on the left. This is where I've put some of the research that has to do with clubs. Let's start with Helen at lenormanddictionary.blogspot.com, where she equates the club suit with the Tarot Pentacles and the elements of earth. Helen tells us that clubs in Lenormand have to do with the body, physical matters, health, and wealth. Anthony Lewis offers another perspective by looking at clubs in their historical context. Pointing to the old German decks, he tells us how our modern clubs were depicted as acorns. And since in the Middle Ages the oak is always the emblem of the unfree and the serf, Anthony Lewis tells us that our modern clubs were depicted as acorns and interpreted with reference to hardship associated with the poverty of the lowest class. Next is Kathleen Matthews, who has an interesting take on the Lenormand suits. She describes the 4 Lenormand suits as 4 different paths forming some sort of a crossroad, and she's determined that clubs represent the path of fate. For Kathleen Matthews, fate is what we are unable to change, like our genetic makeup, and so for Kathleen Matthews, clubs show the causes of our suffering, include the challenges and necessities, responsibilities, complications, consequences of powerful forces. She says that clubs are difficult and complex, often having a detrimental effect. Moving on to Björn Meuris, who agrees with our previous 3 authors. The club suit is the most unfortunate suit, he says, and refers to problems, grief, conflict, adversity, and hardship. Björn Meuris divides the clubs into 2 categories. The neutral and semi-positive clubs, which are the bear and the ring, will be affected by the cards that surround them. The rest of the clubs are considered negative, and they bring trouble and anxiety, often leading to sorrow and distress. Björn Meuris also gives us a useful tip. He tells us that the more clubs in a spread or around a person card, the more problematic the situation will be. Likewise, little or no clubs in a spread is always a good sign. We could speak of a very positive spread, he says. The less clubs, the better, unless there are some negative diamonds around. And for my last author, Andy Boroveshengra, he also perceives clubs as the most difficult and negative suit. He describes clubs as the unpleasant occurrences in life, dishonest people with power over us, misfortunes and grief, and, if they engulf the significator, sickness. Andy Boroveshengra also associates clubs with serfdom and has divided the clubs into 4 groups. First, the people who have or aim to gain power over us. That would be the bear, the fox, the rod, and the mountain. The second group is made of the snake, the fox, and the mice, and they represent deceitful people. The third category is the ring, which can go good or bad depending on the cards that are around it. And finally, the last group is the most unpleasant cards, which are the cloud and the cross. In summary, the club suit is the most difficult suit. It represents being powerless or feeling powerless and has to do with things that you can't exactly change. So it's more like things happening to you than you being able to do things for yourself. There's a sort of lack of freedom in it. And the number of clubs in a spread will give you a general idea about whether this is a difficult situation or not. The more clubs, the more difficult it is. So this is my summary of these authors, but I encourage you to go and check out these authors for yourself. I will put the links under the video. And that's all I've got to say about clubs for now. I hope you found this video helpful. And in the next video, we are going to paint our first card, which is going to be the clouds. See you then. Bye.